So hello guys, what's up and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's me, your girl barrister Neze, and this is Nezeville. They say history is shaped by a courageous few, but sometimes it just takes one person, one voice, one fire that refuses to be put out. In a system designed to silence, there came a woman called Sen Natasha who dared to challenge it. In a country where challenging the powers that be come at a very heavy cost, she stood her ground anyways. But let us not be quick to romanticize it, because when you stand up against what is termed as normalcy, when you stand up against heavyweights, you are quickly seen as a threat and the system would fight back. So she was punished, suspended, charged. People called her a blackmailer and a prostitute, unruly, rude, and difficult. But history will forever remember and recognize her as a trailblazer who chose to roar in places where others had whispered. And you know what? The Senate will never remain the same when it comes to women in politics, because men who demonstrate sexually abusive behaviors will now be at alert, will now be more careful, will now recognize the possibility of being disgraced and exposed, because there was one woman who did it. She has made a very bold statement that can never be forgotten. You see, when this lady came out to accuse the Senate president of sexual abuse, nobody was expecting that he would immediately be rounded up and imprisoned and jailed and relieved of his duties as Senate president. No, what every sensible person was expecting was some semblance, some form of due process, an investigation, some fair hearing. Because in law, there is a saying that justice should not only be done, but must be evidently seen to be done. So if justice is done and it is not clearly seen by all to have been done, then it is not justice. So in the wake of that petition, when the Senate Committee on Ethics flung out the petition without hearing it on procedural grounds, and rather slammed her with a very stiff punishment of 6 months suspension and all the other things it came with, it didn't sit too well with a lot of sensible people. Senator Natasha took the matter to court, and she asked the court for prayers. Firstly, a declaration that her suspension was unconstitutional. Secondly, an injunction restraining the Senate from taking further disciplinary actions or measures against her. Thirdly, an order directing a restoration of all her rights and privileges as a senator. And fourthly, compensatory reliefs. Ladies and gentlemen, a few days ago, a decision on the matter was reached. The Federal High Court of Nigeria, in all its wisdom, struck down that suspension, terming it unconstitutional, and Senator Natasha is expected to return to Senate plenary as soon as possible to resume her duties. Oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to pop a bottle of champagne. We do not know what next will happen, because some countries, impossibilities become possible. But for the fact that the court heard the matter and voided that suspension is good enough reason to celebrate. Senator Natasha, without a doubt, is a strong, powerful, and indomitable woman. And we have given it up to her on several occasions and in several videos. But in today's video, I want us to take a peep at someone else. Her husband, her Odogu. In the eye of the storm of political backlash, the court cases, the threats, the public shame, she did not walk alone. Senator Natasha did stand tall, but right beside her, hand in hand, was someone else. Her husband. Not behind her, not in front of her, but right beside her. Silent in strength, present in power. He stood as a shield when the arrows came and as an anchor when the winds tried to carry her away. In every court case, every appearance, every moment of isolation, he was there with her. You know, I like to relay my stories and link it to family, the family structure, marriage, background. Because most of what happens out there, how we turn out, our reactions in public, mostly starts from family. And that's why I mostly link my stories to the importance of family structure, of having healthy relationships. It makes or mars. You see, for both men and women, having a supportive spouse is very important. But if we choose to be honest with ourselves, in many African societies, the consequences of having an unsupportive partner is not equal. Now, let us be real here. For a man with an unsupportive wife or partner, he may miss out on the emotional support or the gentle nudge that the woman would give him that could push him to be better or push further. But without it, if he is self-driven, he will still climb. He will chase his dreams, make decisions, and still be successful with or without her support. His wife or society has a limited leverage as to how they can stand in his way. But for a woman, especially an African woman, it is not the same. I always like to bring my teachings and my discussions down to us as Africans because it is not the same over here. So we need to bring it back home. We need to be realistic, putting into consideration our own peculiarities. Abroad, who born you? Who dash monkey banana to order your fellow human being not to work or not to do this or that? Even if the woman chooses not to work, it is an arrangement that her and her family or her and her husband have voluntarily agreed to. Nobody can coerce or intimidate or bully somebody out of their ambition. The woman will fully consent to giving up her career to stay at home for the sake of the family. And maybe the man is making good money, he handles the finances. And don't forget that the law will protect her in the event of any crisis in the marriage, because the law would factor her contributions in the home that made it possible for that man to go out and make that money. So the law would not say it is his money. The law would say it is their money. It is marital income, because the law knows that if that woman was not there, cooking and cleaning, watching over children, washing, arranging, the administrative part of the home. Of course, there is an administrative function in the home to make things flow. Appointments, medical, visits. That administrative function was being handled by the wife. And it is because of this woman has taken off the burden and the load from the man. The man is able to work well without dividing part of his hours to cater to those responsibilities, because they are his. So in developed countries, your children are your responsibility too. And the law would say, if this woman was not here, you would have paid for child daycare, you would have paid for cleaner, you would have paid for chef, you would have paid, I calculate all the money. So you cannot sit there in the office and say, it is my money. So marriages abroad and marriages in Africa can never be the same. So we need to discuss putting into cognizance our own peculiarities. So we'll be talking about the effect of an unsupportive spouse to an African woman in an African marriage. We are at a more disadvantage as an African woman in an African marriage. So that's why when you are picking, you need to shine your eye, because as I always tell you, you are on your own. Nobody would be there to rescue you. Typically, when it comes to marriage as an African woman, you are somewhat at a disadvantage when it comes to culture, when it comes to expectations, when it comes to law, when it comes to enforceability, when it comes to, in fact, everything. That's why even we should be more careful when entering that institution called marriage. So, for we as African women, the cost of having an unsupportive partner is not merely emotional. It is completely destructive and crippling, because the man in your life, your husband, can become the gatekeeper to your destiny. A man can stop his wife from working. It is a very common thing in Nigeria, other African countries. What is it like over there? In Nigeria, a man has legitimate rights to stop his wife from working immediately. A woman cannot. Even if she earns 5 times or 10 times of that man, she cannot. A man can deny his wife permission to travel for an opportunity. A woman cannot. A man from office can call the wife and say, honey, I'm not coming back. My boss sent me to Abuja to go and collect one check. My office did this. And the wife will say, okay, darling, safe journey. It cannot easily be done like that by a woman. A woman cannot just from office pack up and leave and say, I will be away for 3 days. Now you have to come back and explain yourself. Where are you going to? It's different. A man can mock the woman's aspirations, belittle her dreams, and sabotage her confidence. And he will have the full support of society, who will call him the head of the house, the head of the home. And society will tell the woman to be submissive, to pray, to wait, or to completely give it up. That she should be grateful that she even has a man that can feed her. Nobody will consider your own God-given purpose on earth. The option that such a woman has is either to give it all up and save the marriage, or to leave the marriage and pursue her purpose. That is the option of a woman who does not have a supportive spouse in Africa. So the role of a supportive husband in the life of a successful woman in Africa cannot be overstated. Having a solid husband in your corner can make all the difference in a woman's journey to success. And I personally, sitting here, is a very clear example of that as well. I do not consider myself a successful YouTuber yet. I still believe that there are so many things that we're going to do and we're going to achieve, inshallah. But the little I've been able to do for myself isn't just due to how hardworking or eloquent I am that contributes, but due to the kind of spouse that I'm married to. So people may see me on YouTube and say, oh, that lady is so bright, she's so well-spoken, and she's so hardworking, and she puts in the work. They are correct. But what they do not know is that there is an engine room behind powering me. A man that's identified my potential, and instead of hiding it or killing it, projected it to the world and started a YouTube channel for me. A man whose backing makes me bold and unapologetic. Do you think if I had a useless spouse, my mouth would be sharp to come here and be doing to come and be talking? If I had a useless spouse punching my eyes, misbehaving, putting me down, think I'll be that bold and confident to come here and speak? Because I have somebody in the engine room giving me courage and strength and business ideas, and not just the ideas, executing them along with me. I have a husband that would take the children and say, okay, their noise is too much. Baby, do your shooting. Let me take them to the amusement park. Who would sometimes help with tasks that I should ordinarily be the one to execute just because I need to meet a deadline. Who invested in me and taught me how to edit, how to use Canva, how to do everything. And who does my setup for me every day I want to shoot before he goes to work. He would help because he's better with lights and all these tech things, cameras. He will do the setup every day. I've been on YouTube for 6 years, and the only time he hasn't done it is when he's not in the country. I remember when I had my 4th child, I wasn't strong yet to sit down for a long time to edit. And when I shoot, I will send my video. He wasn't in the country. He was posted to another country for work. And I will send my videos to him. And when he gets back from work, instead of joining his friends from one club to another, he would sit back at home and edit my videos. There is no way I would be where I am on YouTube or in life generally if I wasn't powered and supported by my husband. I remember back then when I was in banking. Okay, let me give you this gist. So, I was a marketer. I shuttled around different departments in the bank, one of which was marketing department. So one of our KPIs as marketers was to ensure that the POS machines of our customers are up and running, because when they are down, the bank is losing income. We get income from those transactions, right? So part of your calls involve you going to all these shops, supermarkets, places where your POS, where you dispatch POS to your customers to ensure that the POS are working, the POS machines. So there was this day, I and my colleagues, because when you want to go on marketing calls, you go in groups. You go with the office car. You guys take your respective calls. So I and my colleagues were about four or five, about 4 or thereabouts. 2 guys and 2 ladies. We went to this hotel, a very big hotel in Port Harcourt. We have our POS machine there for their customers. And after we checked their POS at the reception, of course, not inside room, as we're coming out, my husband called me and asked me, "Where are you?" And I told him, "Oh, I am at Okokobioko Hotel. Oh, how far, Joe? How is work?" We went to check their POS. It wasn't working. We went to give them POS paper and ensure that the POS machine is working. And we just exchanged pleasures and the call ended. It was later that when we got home, that he was telling me that his friend saw me and called him all the way from where he was at One Free Zone to tell him that he found the wife in a hotel. In fact, my husband called me to even ask me because our marriage was still new. If it was now, I'm sure he would have not even bothered calling. But immediately I told him what I was doing there, it just passed immediately. And he kept on supporting my banking career until I left the bank. On those days when I'm pregnant and I'm so heavy I can't drive, he would come to the bank and drop me, and he would come and pick me. Even when I'm a key custodian and I can't leave the bank without locking the door and operations guys are still trying to balance, it's late. I'm at the bank waiting to lock up. I'm heavily pregnant. I'm tired. My husband will sit outside and wait hours to pick me. This is a public forum. I can't say everything, but I cannot speak about my success without attributing a part of it to the kind of spouse I have. So you can imagine if it was the kind of man that capitalizes on any excuse to kill the dreams and ambitions of his wife, or who puts his insecurities above his wife's life. He was doing well. He had a good job. He could as well tell me, "Please, I don't want this banking job that is taking you to hotel. Go home and sit down." But he factored my own life, my own choices, and my own purpose without being selfish. I tell you today, any woman in Africa who is, take note of this word too, I didn't say just succeeding, who is joyfully, freely, and confidently succeeding, check her husband. You will see that she is blessed with a good spouse. A spouse who believes in her, a spouse who is not intimidated by her, a spouse who can sacrifice for her, a spouse who can stand and support her, a spouse who is committed to this thing called marriage. Doesn't just want to have a wife, also wants to be a husband. Because there are some men that they want to have a wife, but they're not ready to be husbands. Let us watch this video together.
He sees me the way God sees me. Okay, I want to say thank you to you. He sees me through the eyes of God. He believes in me more than I believe in myself. I wanted to do my doctorate and first semester I'm like, I can't do this. My statistics was speaking Chinese. He said, "Corey, you got this. I believe in you." Till the very last day, I went to Duke University. It's one of the best universities in the United States. My husband would go to class with me. He never missed a day that I had to go to Duke. He clapped for me, encouraged me. When I had to take my board exam, that exam was one of the hardest exams I've ever done in my life. After the exam, I called him, and my husband put me on speaker. I said, "You don't even know if I was calling to tell you that I failed." He said, "I know that you would not fail that exam. I know you passed." He believes so much in me. He claps for me. He's my cheerleader. Sometimes I'm in my little funky mood, and he still loves me regardless. I mean, once we married 20 years, that's amazing. Knowing me as a little spoiled brat, and he's literally held my hand through every season of my life. But I am grateful, and I pray for you today that as God has made you the head, you will never be.
There is a saying that behind every successful man, there is a woman. But behind the most successful women in Africa, there is a man, a good man. So if you are blessed with this kind of man, I beg you, my sister, honor him. Learn balance. Do not take advantage of him and say, oh, because he's like this, he just behave anyhow. No. Learn balance. Totori and pepperize that man for me. Adore him. Shower him. Acknowledge him in his lifetime. Let him know how loved and appreciated he is. Do not be afraid or ashamed to cherish him. Stay devoted to him, because in our society, those kinds of men are rare. If you are not married yet, and you're the kind of person that loves to have a mind of your own, you want to make something out of life for yourself, you like to work, those kinds of things, because it is not every woman that is like that. Some women just love to relax. They don't even want to use their brain. Any smallest thing, they'll say, please, let me wait for my husband to come back home. They can't, they're not champions to, I believe you know what I'm talking about. They just want to stay at home and let their husbands run their lives for them, which is still okay if that is what you like. But if you're not that kind of woman, you are the other type that I described. Having an unsupportive spouse will thwart those dreams. So look out for the red flags. Watch out for the signs. First, the first warning sign are men that see everything as disrespect. Men that see everything as unsubmissiveness. Lord Commander. Now don't get me wrong, my ladies. Every man loves respect. We have said it severally on this channel. If you want to get a man's heart, don't use respect to play with him. Even when wheelbarrow pusher wants to come back home and feel like a king in his bacha, it's their nature. So loving respect is different from being obsessed with submission. Look out for those type and avoid them. Secondly, men that have a very low self-esteem and are intimidated easily by your dreams. My sister. Thirdly, men that see you as too much and are focused on taming you. You know how they get wild animal and tame them to domestic animal. Men that are so obsessed with the idea of taming you, threatened by your wins. Fourthly, men that see women as inferior and are only comfortable when the woman is beneath them. You would have a problem with this kind of spouse if you are this kind of woman. There are some men that do not see women as fellow human beings. They see them as subhumans, like lesser breeds. Okay, work. 5, overtly controlling men that are insecure, that would put baseless suspicions and their insecurities over your life. You go here, you say you are sleeping with this man. If you smile here, he will say you've slept with that one. If a man says hello to you, he will say you are sleeping with him. You go for straight and you will just give it up.
Fucking beautiful? You just said out of your own mouth what you said to her. How are you gonna tell me?
We didn't say something.
No, you said she is beautiful. Yes or no?
I said you're looking so good.
Why the fuck would you say that?
I'm sorry for that because we just.
Could you please get this?
Yeah.
Am I crazy?
Well, just
Your wife comes to the store.
Yeah, but
Wants to pick up a freaking sandwich.
Yeah, but
Is she crazy?
Yeah.
That she sits through these fucking compliments, these fucking creeps.
We just
Right.
give her that compliment.
they made
Why?
they made a mistake.
This is not your fucking country.
Yeah.
This is not India or something, dude.
Yeah.
You're in the fucking States.
And lastly, men that think self rather than team. Men that do not understand that what's better than having one lantern in the home is having two. So that even if one of the lights dims, the house will not be thrown into darkness. So if you're a driven woman, a purposeful woman, if you are that kind of woman who has a light to shine, please watch out for these kinds of men. For those who are already married, remember what I just said is for those that are still searching, that are looking out for things in a spouse. For those who are already married, there is little you can do. But I want to encourage you that if someone does not believe in you, does not mean that you cannot believe in yourself. Some men are horrible at seeing potential, but they are perfect at celebrating excellence. Are you aware? When you want to start that small business, maybe you want to start tailoring, you'll be complaining, see pieces everywhere, see this everywhere, noise of the sewing machine. But when you become Vicky James and he's seeing your work on magazines and he's seeing you are using that tailoring to bring money, you come back from work, you are discussing inverter with him. Before he comes back the next day, you have installed inverter. Instead of coming back and finding himself, breeze they blow him for head, he will say, that is my wife. that man that didn't show support at the beginning will now become proud of you. So it's not every time that once your husband throws any small discouragement, you will cripple and crawl. Mba. My dear sister, open your eyes. Encourage yourself. Don't look at his face. Keep pushing and keep doing your thing. Get your encouragement from God. Now, this is for those that are married already, to spouses that are not supportive, but are not outrightly prohibitory. Now, the third set are the worst category. The ones that are married already, to spouses who will not only not support, but they would expressly kill the dream. They will expressly prohibit you. You dare not. This one is more difficult because it now becomes up to you to make a choice as to what's more important for you, your ambition or your marriage. If it's the marriage, you manage the kind of spouse that you have. If it's the other, you make your decision. For my dear ladies believing God for a kingdom marriage, believe me when I say that it is such a blessing to be married to someone who does not only let your wings spread, but who would love and admire how far they stretch. I would love to drum a special appreciation for our dear Oga here, Chief Emmanuel Uduaghan, and the role that he has played in Senator Natasha's journey and victory. You can imagine if he was that kind of husband, where he would tell you, you don't come again. Why must it be you all the time? You better go and withdraw that rubbish that you started there. What is the matter with you? Bringing unnecessary shame to me. She would have just felt cold and shrunk. But rather, he held her hands and said, baby, I am beside you. And his presence reminded us all of what true partnership looks like. The kind that uplifts, protects, and empowers. Thank you so much, Chief Emmanuel, for being the kind of man who sees strength in a strong woman instead of adversary, who would rather project his gifted wife rather than silence her. Your open loyalty did not just support your wife, it inspired a generation. And my earnest prayer is that more women find love, the type that frees them, not cages them. Please help me say a word down in the comment section to Chief Emmanuel Uduaghan, and a big congratulations to Senator Natasha Abuti. Also drop your thoughts about everything that we have discussed down in the comment section. So guys, yes, we have come to the end of today's video. If you're new here, you're seeing my face for the first time, or if you've been watching without subscribing, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, give this video a big thumbs up, drop all your comments down in the comment section, and stay glued, for we have so much more coming your way. It's me, your girl Barrister Neze, and this is Nezeville. I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye.